Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh continues to escalate, with the Congress making fresh charges, including questioning the national broadcaster DD to inadequate space for family members during the funeral service. Now, here what Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri has pointed out when it comes to the rebuttal that he has given, as he reminds the Gandhi family of its own history of disrespecting the former Prime Ministers. Take a look.
Joining me today on Times Now is Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri. Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, thank you for joining me this afternoon. I can only raise this question with some sense of regret. Is this completely unnecessary politics that is going on around the funeral and the state send-off to former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh? It seems that the charge against your government from the Congress party is that it was done without grace and dignity to the departed soul. How do you respond?
Let me first of all start by endorsing your sense of, I would say, disappointment at the unnecessary controversy that is sought to be created, the kind of statements which are forthcoming, which are entirely devoid of facts. I would like to take the kind of charges or allegations which have been made and place them in their perspective, Navikaji. And let the facts speak for themselves. First and foremost, what are the facts surrounding this, the demise of the late Dr. Manmohan Singh? The news about this was available in the public domain sometimes after 9 p.m. on Friday. Immediately after the news was received, a cabinet meeting was called, over which the Honorable Prime Minister presided, and 7 days state mourning was declared, all flags to fly at half-mast, and all the other instructions that normally accompany this. It was also decided that the departed leader would get a state funeral with full military honors. With full military honors means 21-gun salute, which is the highest. Equally, a letter was received from the president of the Congress party, Shri Kharge, which sought arrangements for a separate memorial and cremation. Now, you may be aware that there is already a place which has a space for 9 departed leaders, heads of state and government, where former presidents and prime ministers are interred. 7 of those spots are already occupied. There is space for 2 more. In the normal circumstances, the government could have taken the view, all right, let Dr. Manmohan Singh be given one of the final resting place along with the other 7. But no, they asked for, and the government was very keen to provide a separate and a special memorial for the departed leader. Now, the question arises about the cremation ground. Again, I find that very, very surprising. I don't know whose final call or why, but let me give you some facts which are staring us in the face. The rains which we got on the 9th, on the night of the demise, and the next day were torrential. I mean, heavy downpour. Now, if you were to do it in a place which does not have drainage, which does not have proper facilities, where a state funeral with the army chief, with the president of India, the vice president, the prime minister, you have to create. Now, the last remains, the mortal remains, were kept in the residence on Saturday, on Friday, Saturday, and brought to the party headquarters, the AICC headquarters in the morning for cremation around 11:45. Now you tell me, with the best will in the world, if you wanted, if somebody was wanted, maybe you could have, but this was not on the agenda. The idea was to give a full state funeral with military honors and all the dignity that accompanies such thing. All the steps were taken, etc. Now, where is the criticism coming from?
The question is
criticism
asked,
coming
why not
devoid of
Rajghat?
facts.
Why
Yeah.
could the funeral not be held at Rajghat
No,
as
I'm
was
coming precise.
previous Prime Minister?
I'm precisely coming to that. The government received a letter to which a reply was sent by the Home Ministry at 3 minutes past midnight. I have the communication in front of me saying a request has been received and we are agreeing to the request. Now, if you are agreeing to a request and you have to locate, clearly, you have to provide land to a trust. The trust will then undertake the erection of a memorial, etc., like in Sadai Vatal, where there's a trust, if I remember correctly, headed by Shri Ram Bahadur Rai, and we will give the land to the trust at 1 rupees rental. All that will be done. Locations have been identified, but the point of time between the unfortunate and very sad demise and the cremation, on a day when it is raining, on Rajghat, if you go for a new land, it strikes me you have to first drain it. I mean, this is open land. Whereas in Nigambod Ghat, you have already an existing infrastructure, which may be slightly tight. But I was personally involved with the funeral arrangements and the cremation of Vajpayee ji. I know what we went through at that stage also. So please, this is unfounded criticism. It is designed to create a controversy. And if you're looking for controversies, I can give you half a dozen things which I am aghast at. Today, after the cremation yesterday, today they took the ashes for immersion in the holy river. And what happens? Where were all those people who wanted to be photographed yesterday and who were talking about the camera lenses on being on one and not the other? Was the Congress party, which is making, some of their leaders are making this noise, the Gandhi family, which are saying that indignity has been heaped and the departed leader has been insulted? I don't see that. Full military honors, all the things. Prime Minister went not only to the late leader's residence, so did several other senior leaders. I was one of the few also who made it a point to go and pay my respects along with Lakshmi. So there is no insult was ever intended, and this is a manufactured, contrived narrative which is deliberately being put out for a false narrative. And I'm afraid when the facts are coming out, as I'm detailing them to you, I think they will be caught with their pants down.
Well, Mr. Hardeep Puri, the whole issue about cameras, the whole issue about foreign dignitaries standing up, the Prime Minister not standing up, the fact that there wasn't enough space for the family, there was not enough space for the grandchildren who were meant to light the pyre of late Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. Do you think
all this? I'm sorry. All this is you are merely repeating
there was more
some stuff in a charge sheet, which is I don't agree with it. No, but who does the coordination? I remember when you can't leave this coordination to the defense ministry. To say that the family was not seated is not correct. I saw Gursharan ji and their 3 daughters in the front row. So there are 4 people of the family I can identify. There were several others in the back row. To say that somebody was not given a place to that, everybody stood as a mark of respect. So I'm afraid I do not agree, and I don't like the idea of your just repeating a charge sheet. You can provoke me. I'm easily provocable. I will give you the answer. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. They're talking about indignities being heaped on the departed leader. What were they doing when he was the Prime Minister? You go to Beijing, sign an MOU with the Chinese Communist Party, and you keep the Prime Minister in dark. The cabinet approves an ordinance, and you tear the ordinance and say, let me tell you, this is nonsense. When the Congress Party gives a farewell to the Prime Minister who's done 2 terms, what happens? The young T-shirted leader doesn't show up. What are we discussing, Navika ji? I have been present there. I mean, he was so upset that he wanted to put in his resignation. I have a personal story, which I think Mr. Pachauri, who was then dealing with his press, one day I will tell him, let me go public with that. But I saw a senior colleague of mine, Shri I.S. Chadha, Inderjeet Singh Chadha, 1956 batch of the Foreign Service, who's given an interview, which I read in the Times of India, which says that he was so upset that he wanted to die. That is what is called an indignity. That is what you call an insult, not these contrived charges which they are bringing in here. Full state honors, military honors, chiefs of staff, And let me tell you, what do they do to their leaders? There was one Mr. Narasimha Rao who was my foreign minister and prime minister. They didn't even let his body come to the AICC headquarters. Then what else have they done with the others? I saw the late Pranab Mukherjee's daughter. They didn't even have a CWC meeting. This is a case where the entire system revolves around one family. Where were they today when the mortal remains, where the ashes were being lifted for immersion? Did one of them show up? Did any of the Congress party functionaries show up? Who are the people there? Again, our Gurdwara committee, I saw the head Granthi, Ranjit Singh ji, I saw Mr. Sirsa, I saw all of these people. So let's not politicize something. He was a person who distinguished himself. He did a lot of very good work for the country, and in his passing away, we should not trivialize this and bring in imaginary slights and insults.
Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, let me ask you from the perspective of the common man on the street. लोग ये कहते हैं कि क्या आपकी किसी के साथ नहीं बनती, आपकी कांग्रेस के साथ नहीं बनती, आपकी आम आदमी पार्टी के साथ नहीं बनती, आपके जीवन में नहीं बनती किसी के साथ, आपकी मृत्यु में नहीं बनती किसी के साथ। ये सवाल आज लोग पूछ रहे हैं, क्या जवाब देंगे उन्हें?
पता नहीं कौन ये पूछ रहा है, हमारी तो सबसे बनती है। हमने कांग्रेस पार्टी के साथ बनने की बात नहीं है, टू गिव और आम आदमी पार्टी की। If you want to discuss what politics is, I'm willing to have a discussion on politics on a standalone basis with you. But first, let's come to the Congress party. The decision to give the late Dr. Manmohan Singh a state funeral with full military honors, that is the correct decision. All courtesies were extended. The Prime Minister himself, rest the Congress party has to do. I mean, when you saw Vajpayee's gun carriage coming, there was a sea of humanity accompanying him there. That was a party function from our side. Whereas the Congress party has been missing. All they do is give gali, and I'm surprised that a senior anchor like you are talking about hamari nahi banti. Hamari sabki banti hai. आप उनसे पूछो आपकी किससे बनती है? कांग्रेस पार्टी इंडी अलायंस में दे आर आइसोलेटेड, तो हमारी तो अच्छी बन रही है उनके साथ। और मैं आपको मान के चलूं, उन्होंने अपने आप को आइसोलेट किया, हमारी बनने या बनने की बात नहीं है। और मैं आपको बताता हूं, जहां तक आम आदमी पार्टी की बात है, हम क्या करेंगे? आप कोई योजना लाना चाहते हो, आप महिलाओं का सम्मान करना चाहते हो, योजना के बारे में सोचिए, उसमें आप बजटरी प्रोविजन करिए, पर वो कुछ हुआ ही नहीं, आप फॉर्म भरवाना शुरू करो। ये फ्रॉड नहीं है तो और क्या है?
So because it's election time, it's BJP versus Aam Aadmi Party at loggerheads. I also want to ask you, after all, BJP ने भी तो लाडली बहन मध्य प्रदेश में किया या महाराष्ट्र में किया, schemes आप भी announce करते। What is the problem if the Aam Aadmi?
We have provided for it. We have provided for it. They don't provide for it. उन्होंने पंजाब में कहा था हर एक महिला को एक महीने में 1,000 रुपए देंगे, उन्होंने प्रोवाइड किया है। उन्होंने और कहा था, क्या उन्होंने कर्नाटक में कहा था और कहा हम केंद्रीय सरकार है, हम अगर किसी चीज की प्रोविजनिंग करते हैं या हमारी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स करती हैं, दे आर केपेबल ऑफ थिंकिंग इट थ्रू एंड प्रोवाइडिंग इट। सो द इशू नाउ इज डिफरेंट. Issue is you have a party with a track record of making promises. The Congress party in particular and the Aam Aadmi party even more so. What have they done in Punjab? Have they provided that 1,000 rupees a month? No, they haven't. In what were they doing in Karnataka? पहले ये मुफ्त कर दो, फिर टैक्स लगा दो। वहां पे अगर शौचालय पे टैक्स लगा दो, जब गाली पड़ी तो उसको विड्रॉ कर लिया। तो ये ऐसा, let's not equate the two. We have solid experience of governance and we don't take an irresponsible stand on these things.
Let me ask you, there are charges about distribution of votes against your own leader, Pravesh Verma. How do you get away from that? Women coming out.
I was waiting for you to. I was waiting for you to take that up, and I'm not hesitant to answer it. He says he has an NGO which has been operating for about 25 years, and he was giving some money that NGO was giving to people. But I'm quite happy. I mean, if an individual is giving money to an NGO for social service or anything, or distributing food or blankets when it's cold, it's an entirely different issue. Why are you equating the two?
Well, very convenient that a candidate has an NGO and the NGO gives cash to people and makes them fill
He's not
forms.
even a candidate yet. He's not even a candidate yet.
Well, he's expected to
No,
be
he's
a
not even a
candidate.
candidate yet. First of all, let's be very clear. Oh yes, so in expectation, if you distribute a blanket to people in the cold weather, or you give
I'm talking about cash.
the sum of 1,100 rupees.
I'm
Look, I'm not
talking
holding a brief for
about
that.
allegations of cash
No,
distribution, Mr. Puri.
No, I am very happy. I think he has already clarified it. It's not my a call to clarify it. But since in a program which is to deal with the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh departure, you're bringing up 1,100 rupees in cash. I mean, I'm just surprised at what you are up to.
Well, Mr. Puri, the Aam Aadmi Party has charged you of being part of a conspiracy with the Congress Party in trying to defeat them in Delhi. How do you look at that charge?
Let's first get our coordinates right. पहले आप पूछती हैं कि आपकी कांग्रेस से नहीं बनती, फिर कहती है आपकी आम आदमी पार्टी नहीं बनती, अब आप कह रही हैं आम आदमी पार्टी इज चार्जिंग अस फॉर बीइंग इन कोल्यूशन विद द कांग्रेस पार्टी. इसका मतलब हमारी किसी ना किसी से तो बनती है. देखिए, ये पॉलिटिक्स के समय, चुनाव के समय बड़ी बड़ी अजीब और बेहुदा बातें करी जाएंगी. कांग्रेस पार्टी अपने माने हुए लीडर्स को मैदान में उतार रही है, उनको लड़वा रही है. वी आर इन कहूट. The Aam Aadmi Party is suffering from a very serious loss of self-confidence. That is what explains many of their irrational statements and irrational action. I'm telling you, even somebody like Atishi fears for her seat. I'm telling you that Mr. Kejriwal is slippery because the people of Delhi have finally caught on to the fact that a river has been converted into a sewer. And the atmospheric pollution, the AQI, had reached 1899. The river pollution is 500 times over the permissible amount. So, Navika ji, I think in the coming days we should discuss this trend and what the election. If Delhi is going to be the capital of now the fifth and then the third largest economy in the world, we need a capital city where people can live and not choke. And unless the Aam Aadmi Party is thrown out, lock, stock and barrel, I'm afraid we will be running that risk.
What about the charge that BJP has put about an investigation into snooping by the Punjab police in Delhi? Isn't that rather bizarre?
I am not. I'm afraid in my preparations for my interaction, I'm not aware of what charges on snooping, etc. I'm not, but I'd be happy to read up on that and come back to you. But I'm frankly not aware of, because news today. Each story has a cycle which is defined in terms of limitations of time, but you also get hundreds of things coming in suddenly. So I'm not aware of this particular issue that you're mentioning.
Well, Mr. Hardeep Puri, you're always a sport in fielding questions, but I do agree with you that the unseemly controversy over a very gracious, very dignified former Prime Minister, completely unnecessary. One would hope that both sides calm down now and, honor him with the dignity that he rightfully deserves. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Mr. Puri, for joining me.
Well, I would only add to that from our side there is full dignity, full graciousness emanating and coming from the Prime Minister downward. Insofar as the other side is concerned, let them at least honor him in his passing away and not heap the same kind of indignities whilst he was in office, and when he was merely shown to be an executor of decisions which were taken in the National Advisory Council or by other people.
Well, thank you very much for clarifying that, and we hope there is an end to this unseemly controversy. Thank you very much, Mr. Puri, for joining me.
Thank you.